Welcome to this Asian Metallurgy, 12th Asian Metallurgy, day 2, that is 19th of December. And we are on the webinar on green steel making, how near, how far. So before we start with the webinar, let me introduce you a few things about the Asian Metallurgy. As you know, Asian Metallurgy had started as a ground show in 1997. So till it was being organized at Bombay Exhibition Center as a ground exhibition and conference. Then after COVID, we shifted it to a digital platform, and last 2 years, that is 2021 and 2022, we organized on digital platform. This is the third year, and I am happy to share with you that the first time we had reached to around 5.5 lakh people viewers. The second time it was 7.5, and this show is expected to reach around 1 million viewers. So it's a good transition, and that is the real power of digitalization, I believe, because you get global audience, you can reach the different countries, and this can, of course, this recording of this show, these webinars is being done, and later on again redistributed. So I feel that these digital shows have a longer life than the physical shows. Anyway, there are pluses and minuses of everything. You don't get the live, personal rapport opportunity to make personal rapport in digital shows. Maybe that is one of the negative points. But overall, I feel that digital shows are here to stay, and that is why we are moving on with digital shows till now. So coming to today's webinar, green steel making. There are few buzzwords being circulated in the industry for last few years. One of them is green steel making, and reducing carbon footprint, and sustainability, and all that. All these words we are being hearing, but I know people like you have worked really hard on this green steel making, and you can share something. Very relevant experience, very relevant, incidences while you are on this journey of green steel making. So I would request Mr. Rajib Paul. Rajib Paul has been director in NIST, director in charge of NIST, National Institute of Secondary Steel Technology, and he is in the realm of affairs. He knows, he has done quite a lot of studies in green steel making. So I would request Mr. Rajiv Paul to please take over this webinar. Very interesting webinar, and thank you, Mr. Rajiv. But before Rajiv, you take up, I would like to introduce our panelist, uh, Mr. Anand Parasrama,
Parasramka.
Parasramka. Sorry.
No problem.
Anand Parasramka is Chief Financial Officer, at Kalyani Steels, and he is working as Chief Financial Officer. He's Senior Chartered Accountant with over 25 years of experience. Apart from his role as CFO, he is also looking into sustainability aspects of at Saarloha. He played an instrumental role in developing, executing the strategy for creating India's first green steel Kalyani Feresta, and he
Teresta.
Feresta, and he is also accompanied by Mr. Chandan Bharambe. He is Senior Manager Corporate Strategy in MD's office at Kalyani Steel Ltd. Mr. Chandan is working as Senior Manager in MD's office of Kalyani Steel Ltd. and alumnus of IIM Kozhikode. He has worked in major brands including Ambuja Cements, IBM, erstwhile Vodafone, etc. He has handled different roles in his career, including being a product and marketing manager to a corporate strategy manager, driving strategic projects emanating from MD's office. In his latest role as a corporate strategy, Mr. Barambe has played an instrumental role in defining, conceptualizing, and creating India's first green steel Kalyani Feresta. His current focus of activities is directed towards branding and marketing Kalyani Feresta, and Business Development. Of course, Rajiv Kumar Paul is well known. He is the director of National Steel Institute of Secondary Steel Technology. He looks after ferrous metallurgy, steel making, refractories, heat treatment, foundry, overall management of the institute, industrial licensing, technical head, R&D, secretary to the board of governors of NEST. Thank you, all of us. All of you joined this webinar, and I would now hand over the things to Mr. Rajib Paul.
Yeah, I think everybody is able to hear me.
Yeah.
So I welcome all the delegates here and as well as the the speakers. So first and foremost, I would like to say that we have already made a move in the green hydrogen area. It's not that and green steel, what you call, because you have to make a move, then only you start moving. So
right.
Yeah, actually, in this year, in the month of January, I think we had the national green hydrogen mission and the total outlay of about 19,744 crores was already allocated for the particular mission. So that was the outlay, and that was basically notified. And now the policy frameworks are more or less in place. And on the other hand, the banks have started now moving. Now, the top three banks, HDFC, ICICI, and SBI, they are preparing a financing framework for green hydrogen projects. And they will do credit appraisal, risk management, and consensory financing. And a committee will work under MNRE. And now the European Investment Bank is also working with IREDA for the financing framework, and they will also try to solve the issues regarding the financing. On the other hand, the Reserve Bank of India has been what you call government has already recommended Reserve Bank of India to include green hydrogen as a what you call priority sector for lending on the green. So all these frameworks are now in place, and slowly I think a movement will be made in the next I think next year from January onwards for the players to pitch in. And simultaneously, all the state governments, this what you call state designated agencies, and who work under in coordination with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, have also made policies, or different states have made different policies. Like in the Punjab state, we have the paddy husk and the other things. Here, the system is that here the people we are trying to make hydrogen out of the biomass. That policy framework is in place, and the financing will come from all the things, and we are the government is looking for what you call companies, parties to achieve this particular goal. So we have already started making movement. So as you can see, so this movement will help us in slowly penetrating into next stage into the iron and steel sector. So in iron and steel sector, you may be must be knowing, is one of the major sectors contributing to green hydrogen, green what you call greenhouse gas emissions. Yes. So a few days back, Nifty, what we have the Nifty and so all the and I would like also now I invite Mr. I think first I will invite Anand Parasramka from Kalyani Steel. He is the CFO, and I think he will be able to. He knows what.
Hello.
First, he has taken the first step. Hello.
Can you please repeat what you said just now, because we could not hear you? You are on mode.
Okay. So if I just invite you to speak about Kalyani Steel and how they have made the first step in this regard.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, Mr. Chandekar. Good morning, everyone. This is Anand Parasramka. I am part of the Kalyani group. So just a small correction. Basically, I am working as CFO for a company called Saarloha. So Kalyani Group has got two companies in the steel sector, particularly specialty steel sector. One is Kalyani Steels, which is at Hospet, Karnataka. Other is Saarloha Advanced Materials, which is at Pune, Maharashtra. Both the companies are producing by and large same kind of product, but Kalyani Steel is producing under the blast furnace route, and the Saarloha Advanced Material is producing under the electric arc furnace route. So just now, whatever Paul Saab had said about the green hydrogen and all, that is definitely a good beginning is happening in the country, and that will be more suitable for our blast furnace plant at Hospet, Karnataka, Kalyani Steels Limited plant. But it is going to take a time because the cost of green hydrogen is not very competitive as of now, and it is not worthwhile, or it is not competitive or encouraging for people to go for producing green steel by using the green hydrogen. So we discuss a lot about this particular thing at Kalyani Group. Then how do we convert into how do we produce green steel and all, because that was the need of the hour. So the low-hanging fruit was in electric arc furnace route, where there was no immediate requirement of a new technology or new some great initiative and all. So from the government side, so we took up this initiative in Saarloha, which is electric arc furnace plant. So it happened somewhere in 2021, when at COP23, COP26, FMC announced. FMC was announced, in which they said, okay, this is going to be the definition of the green steel and all. Basically, they gave some guidelines what should be the green steel and all, and they told how much. They told basically what is the requirement for the FMC members. So the guidelines given by FMC members would buy 10% of the steel by 2030 for green steel in the green steel form. So that was a first precursor for us on going ahead with this particular initiative. Unfortunately, there was no clear-cut definition of green steel. So it was a very loosely defined everywhere, and everybody was talking about their own definition. There are some corporates in European region who have defined green steel, but everybody is giving a different definition with no reference to a particular standard or something. So we were discussing internally, and then we referred FMC guidelines and also the GSG protocol and other ISO standards and all, and we tried working on that in 2021. And then we came out with some idea on how is that we can produce green steel at Saarloha or Kalyani Group. And thereafter, basically, we spoke to various agencies also who were providing consultancy and all. But unfortunately, we were not getting the kind of advisory or kind of guidance which is required for this particular thing. So in-house, we did some study, me along with my team. Mr. Chandan is also here, who is a key member of the team. So we defined, we formed, we basically prepared a GSG manual and also a green steel definition. But the question is that whether the definition which we prepared is good enough or not, whether it will be accepted by the industry or not. Ultimately, we may say anything, okay, this is what we are doing and all. Unless some third party comes and verifies everything, it has no meaning. What we found in most of the cases in European region, the people have given some number or other, but there was no sanctity behind the same. Means I am not questioning their methodology and all, but what I am saying, it was not certified by a third party, which is basically of repute. So DNV helped us a lot in this particular case. Helped means we hired them, and they did a complete audit of the processes. But before that, we actually took some important measure in our company to go in the direction of green steel, because simply calling DNV and getting it audited will not help, because until unless we work in these lines. So we have done various activities. Basically, we worked on our own devised 5 R's, I would say. So basically, recycling is one of the key ingredient of electric arc furnace route, where scrap is recycled. But unfortunately, there are two issues with the scrap. One is availability of the scrap is very limited in the country. Second thing, even if when you use scrap, more of scrap, your productivity goes down, because the scrap doesn't have the required carbon content. and it increases the operating cycle. So that challenge was there. But of course, even if it is coming at a cost, we were willing to do that. Ultimately, the objective is to produce green steel. Then there were other hours like reuse of certain assets was there. Then reduce certain things are there. Like we have taken various small measures over last few years by which we try to optimize the use of certain products, which will help us in reduction of the CO2 emission or GHG emissions. Then we also worked on reducing some of our fuels, like we replaced furnace oil or LSHS, now it is there, or PNG which is there, by we use of biodiesel. Of course, biodiesel, the cost is high and the calorific value is low. But again, that is okay with us as long as we are able to produce green steel. Then, of course, the most important factor was the use of solar power. But solar power also has a huge challenge because the two things. One is the capex is huge, and then also getting approvals are also a challenge in the industry. So ultimately, we could achieve all these things. And in October 2022, we could actually produce our first green steel. And since DNV was already auditing this particular thing, so DNV audit was also a very stringent process. As you all know, they are like the world accredited agency, Det Nos Veritas. So they actually did a complete audit of our system and processes. They understood the entire process right from the origination, right from the melting, or even before melting, or right from the procurement till our disposal of material. The entire life cycle of the asset get to get they verified under scope 1 and scope 2 of GHG protocol. And thereafter they also did a complete identification and traceability audit, because a particular heat which you are producing and calling it a green steel, whether it is actually green or not, it has to be verified. The entire process, the entire identification right from the initiation of that particular heat till the time it's finally disposed of, has to be completely verified. So they did a entire process. In fact, they took more than 6 months to complete the entire process in this audit exercise. And finally, in December 22, they certified our steels produced in October 22 as a green steel. And this was also launched in Delhi by the hand of Honorable Steel Minister, Mr. Sindhia. And that's how this green steel came into place for Saarloha. Of course, other thing which Paul sir was saying about green hydrogen and all, that will be used in blast furnace, and we are eagerly waiting for the same to when it is will implemented, and then when we can start using the same in our blast furnace plant at Kalyani Steels and start producing green steel from there also. Yeah, so one more thing I want to add, that this particular thing we have branded as Kalyani Ferresta. So basically, Ferresta, basically it's a combination of two words. F is a ferrous, and then it's a forest, which is the darkest shade of green. So it is an internally brainstormed and coined term, and which was taken by us as our brand, and we are really hopeful to take it forward a long way. Over to you, sir. Sir, you are mute.
Yeah, nice to hear from you that you have made you have taken the first step. That's what it is. Far and near means we are slowly started moving. Basically, it is basically a journey.
Yes.
And you know, now the conditions in most of the countries at the moment, Australia is having floods and crocodiles are moving on the airport. So these are the conditions people are facing everywhere. Something, and here also in the northern India, here it should be very cold. Now we are 3 to 4 degrees above normal temperature.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and this month we get about, in this winter month we get about 200 millimeter of rainfall, which comes as a western disturbance through Afghanistan, and all the clouds come.
Oh.
That has almost not happened, and this rain is important for our what you call wheat cultivation. So you can understand the significance. See, and another thing is that policy decisions are one thing. And the what difficulties we human beings are facing is another thing. So
Obviously.
it is basically about not the duty of the government, not the duty. It is the every citizens, all people in this world to do something at least for this what you call what you call. And also, we in India we have a little bit of difficulty. Fossil fuels in India, we generally look forward to coal because we have the fourth largest reserve of coal. So instantaneously, if we stop using coal, then we will be all houses will be in darkness. Ah, so we need to make a progress, but it should be slow and steady, not abrupt. So once we do abrupt anything, then we'll be in trouble. So we have started moving progress, and let's see how we move in the steel sector. Even though the priority always comes in the what you call in the second after cement or after some other industry, but but I would say steel industry should be given should be the most given most priority, because we consume the maximum amount of what you call the energy, and greenhouse gas is important, and steel is one of the most important ingredient of development. See, India, we are not a developed country at the moment. We are progressing. So at the moment, if you start making everything green, stop using coal, then our country, still our most of the countrymen are not getting 24/7 electricity. So we need to give electricity to everybody. We need to give what you call steel to everybody to build houses. We need to give them cement, and we have to need to build, and we also look forward to give livelihood. So all this taken into account, then only we can make a slow and steady progress towards the green steel, what you call as green steel or greening of what you call low emission steel. Means we need to reduce our what you call with the low hanging fruit, like consumption of scrap and all. But
Right.
scrap, we are also deficient in scrap.
Exactly.
So, and another thing is that many people think that if you start importing scrap, the prices of scrap will go high. Hmm. But the
Definitely.
thing, but the thing is that the scrap will require electricity to melt. So if the electricity is someplace, the scrap is cheap, but the electricity is costly, they cannot, they are not what you call viable. Ah, so we need to have cheaper electricity as well as cheaper scrap. Another thing is that the prices of scrap cannot go above the prices of TMT, the rebars. Always there is a gap of $100 in between the prices of international prices of scrap and international prices of TMT. So scrap cannot be costlier than TMT, you know. So
But the scrap which comes normally when we import scrap, we face a lot of difficulty in terms of the impurities which are there in the scrap. So basically, somebody who is producing a carbon steel or basically producing a commodity steel, for them it is still okay. For the producer like us who are producing the alloy steel, the chemical composition of scrap is very, very important. And the scrap which you are buying, normally they have got the tin content is there, copper content is there. So usage of the steel is also a big challenge. So, but yes, we have to work upon that, as you rightly said.
yes, yeah, tramp elements, yeah, tramp elements are always there. So we need to dilute it with some virgin steel material. That is means that
But
was
that
just the
virgin
demand.
will lead to CO2 emissions, sir.
Yes, it will lead to
So that's a
CO2
catch
emission.
22 for us. So
Yes,
how
yes.
to increase the scrap without impacting the quality of the end product?
Yes, yes, yes. Another thing I see, the mostly the scrap is imported in container. Containerized import of scrap is very, very costly. We are not able to import in bulk. The ship was like the Cape size vessel full of scrap in the hatches. So we have not done, because we have not means the industry has to be given some incentive to use scrap. I think the banking system and other the secondary policies, the primary policies are in place. The secondary policies, when they come into effect, and it goes down, then only we'll think of importing scrap in bulk. See, I will always give an example of Turkey.
Turkey.
Turkey, Turkey, 50% or 60% of the steel production is from scrap, you know. But they are well positioned in the world because they are in the European continent, one part, and one part in the Asian. And they are able to make very cheap steel and sell across the world. You know, our TMT is not still cost competitive to export. You know, no country.
If you are producing through the arc furnace route, blast furnace.
Yes. No, blast furnace. Our blast furnace producers are also not cost competitive in the world. You know.
Not EF is not at all competitive.
Yes, yes,
You're
yes. No,
producing
EF is no,
TMT.
EF is competitive. You see, the cost of production in the Middle East, like if you go to Saudi Arabia, or you go to what you call Qatar. Qatar Steel is producing, or Emirates Steel. Their production cost is lower than us. You know, why? Because they have a cheaper what you call natural gas, and all the steel companies are located very near to the shore. Okay, and the cost of what you call the freight cost is
Transportation.
always the transportation cost is limited to the mainly the freight cost, but our is the freight sea freight. I want to say,
Right.
but our sea freight plus our rail freight comes. But the rail freight is on the higher side. We are the fourth highest. We are having the fourth highest railway freight in the world. You know.
Right.
So you may be very well positioned, but there the companies which are in the hinterland, their cost of production goes up. You know, the scrap when you are importing, it will come to the port, and from port to the plant you have to bring it. So the cost comes, containerized cost is very high. So here we have to cut it down. So how to do it is a major thing which will help us in making greening of the steel production.
Exactly.
So logistics, freight, all these components come into play for the green steel. It is not only just making the steel, all the technologists have to do, the policymakers, the logistic industry, everything has to fall in place to make our steel means cost competitive. Also, we move slowly in the greening state.
I agree,
So,
sir. For the momentum to start, it's important to have some policy change.
yes.
Though we have started producing green steel, we are just a small portion of the entire industry.
Yes.
Of course, we are doing our bit, but for the whole industry to work, there has to be some policy changes. There has to be some incentive to people to come forward and start producing green steel. But I think the ministry is already working on that, and we are hopeful of getting some positive news in this direction.
Yes, absolutely. Means if all brains are put into place, we Indians are the most intelligent people as such. So if we coordinate, we cooperate, then we will be able to move forward and
I'm sure.
bring down the emission level from our
Sure.
country as a whole. You know,
Country as
we
a
need to see our country as a whole, not individual industry and all. But the industry should be viable, livelihood should be maintained. These are the primary criteria which actually should be, otherwise it will be very difficult, you know.
Correct.
So that's my take. So I think if Mr. Chandan can also put in something.
Yeah, thank you, Paul sir, for this. And much has been already explained by my colleague, Mr. Anand Parasramka. We both have been working on this initiative from scratch, and we faced a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges during our journey towards this. But yes, see, when you are doing something for the first time in the country, with very because the subject is evolving, the subject is new. The entire sustainability topic is continuously evolving, and you get to learn and listen and hear about the different things in sustainability every single day. So the journey, I would say, was quite exciting and filled with quite I would say troughs and crust. But it was indeed a wonderful exercise for us, first to understand how the emissions are mapped, because I would say a lot of if you remove the top players of steel industry, the other steel players are still struggling with how do I measure my emissions across my plant. And that's the first step towards decarbonizing. Without understanding what is my emission, how do I work to reduce it? So even for us, that was the first learning step, wherein we started, how do I map, how do I understand my current emissions, and then obviously work upon the same. So as explained by Anand sir, we hired DNV for verification of our emissions, which helped us to properly channelize our efforts in reducing the GHG emission. So for any industry, as the steel industry, so first step is to identify the potential opportunities where I can have a maximum impact. As you would agree, being an electric arc furnace plant, the major source of energy for our kind of a plant is the electricity, and it plays an instrumental role in the overall GHG emission from our plant. And that was one of the major factor where we could see that there is a potential opportunity for GHG emission reduction. Obviously, it was filled with its own challenges in terms of getting the approvals and having that final connection of electricity to our plant. I mean, there were several steps before that, including the financial burden that we had to have for this connection. But yes, somehow we managed, and we understood the entire concept, the entire project execution, the entire financial economic benefit of it, and then we came up through this the entire product of green steel. uh, there are as we were talking before this, we have got a lot of inquiries, and we still continue to get a lot of inquiries from our potential customers, existing customers, about inquiring about how do we contribute to their end-to-end supply chain, because the whole idea was originated from the same. Our customers have been demanding how do I contribute to their decarbonization, because everybody has taken their own target, right? So unless the raw material suppliers like steel industry do not decarbonize their product, the end consumer will not be able to decarbonize their supply chain. So steel industry will play a pivotal role in entire global decarbonization. And that's how our customers are now very happy that yes, there is a solution. There is a solution which we can use to decarbonize our supply chain. So and we are very happy that we are able to contribute towards their goals. And in future, I think it will be a very proud statement for us that we will be, or we are helping to produce this particular, let's say, green car made from the green steel from Saarloha and all. So that is the way forward, I think we are working on.
Yeah, nice hearing from you. So I think we are making a move towards greener steel, I would say. Uh, so and many slowly, because of what you call, all companies are getting funding, and they are looking, they are trying to, what you call, fund their projects through different means. Now I think the funding will get easier actually. So now I came to know that Thermex, the company Thermex, has got about a 500 crore project of bio CNG plant. And they will be putting in, I think a leading energy conglomerate is trying to put up that plant, and it will be put up in Rajasthan, MP, Maharashtra, and Uttar Pradesh. So we are slowly making a move, and all are very eagerly waiting to, what you call, to making their people are slowly realizing the consequence of GHG emission. And GHG emission now the level is about, I think, 420 ppm, I think, is the CO2 level in our atmosphere. So it was about, I think, 318 or 320 about almost 100 years back. So the CO2 level has gone so much high. So, and that's the reason we need to, basically, it is not only the steel industry. There are other, basically the livestock, basically the cows, what you call, we have the, what you call the dairy farms, the poultry. They release not CO2, they release what you call methane. And methane CH3 is has a, I think about, I think 2 point sometimes more what you call what you call heating rate. Yes, global warming rate than CO2. So all these factors are slowly coming into the picture. It's steel industry will do our best. And it is not only limited to the steel industry, other everywhere, poultry, dairy, car, everything, everybody has to do something. And I think I was talking about Thermax. Thermax has put in place their own target of 1 gigawatt of hybrid renewable energy solution by 26-27. With a CCUS, means carbon capture means and sequestration. So about 500 TPD tons per day they want to capture CO2 and sequester it. So you can see, means the other thing is that we go on using CO2 fossil fuel, but we also try to capture the CO2 and lock it down. So that will be another area where we have still our what you call, we have not tried so much. We have tried to capture CO2, but we need to also lock it up. So that also will be coming into picture. And let's see how we move. This is also part of the greening of our steel production.
So you're talking about the financing part. So this is my core subject, in fact, though. So financing, sir, it was never a challenge. Getting a finance is never a challenge, particularly for the large corporates like us or maybe various other groups. Getting finance is not a difficulty in our country. The real challenge is the getting a cheap financing.
Yes.
So it is very difficult because today, though people talk about that they are doing green financing, green bonds, and all this thing, but the cost of green finance is the same as the normal finance. So there is no incentive practically, because we have been talking to several banks in India, overseas, and everybody. There is no incentive or there is no concession for green financing per se. It's a real challenge. Secondly, what has happened post-COVID, during the COVID times, the repo rate was close to 4%. Today, when I'm talking to you, the repo rate is 6.5%. Plus, there is a additional liquidity issues are there. So even the money market rates have gone up. So if I compare to what it was 3 years back or 3.5 years back, the rates have gone by almost 3.5 to 4%. For putting up projects like solar power, wind power, and all these things, which are very important for GHG emission reduction, it is now a challenge to put up those projects because they are not financially viable. While the people may have a good intent of reducing GHG emissions and all, but from the business perspective also it has to make sense. If the project is not making money, the company itself will not exist. So what is the use of going overboard, taking a costlier financing and putting a project which is ultimately not going to make money for the company, especially when there is no premium for green today as in the market. So as Chandan was saying that we are getting a lot of inquiries from various customers within India and outside India. In fact, from Europe, at least we have 10 to 15 inquiries and we have detailed discussions and all. But when it comes to premium, people want to take a pause because today it is not pinching them. That CBAM will come into effect from 1st of January 26. Till that time, there is no penalty or there is no tax upon them. There is no carbon tax upon them. So it is not pinching them today. So there is no green premium in the market. So if we go overboard and put up something without getting any concessional financing and all, it is really difficult to put up all these things. So I think the government should also look into incentivizing or providing the concessional green financing, which is very important. till 3 years back, borrowing in dollar was also quite cheap. We used to borrow at 1.5% or something in the USD currency. Today, the same financing is available at 7%. It is the benchmark index, the offer, which was around 20 paisa, 30 paisa that time. Today, it is running at around 5%. So when we talk about financing was
Yes.
never a challenge. Today also it is not a challenge. We can borrow billions of dollars. That's not a problem as a
Yes.
country. But getting cheap financing at a relevant, at a affordable price is really a need of the hour. And I think there's something is required to be done in this direction.
Okay. No, actually, that's why I was telling you there's three banks, HDFC, ICICI, and SBI. They're working for concessionary financing, for this particular mission. So you will be getting, means it will take about, I think, 2 or 3 months more to get a concessionary financing. The framework is slowly getting in place.
Sir,
People are working on it.
we are talking with them, all of them, in fact, ICICI, SDFC, SBI, till the very senior level. They have been saying this thing for quite some time, but we have to understand their position also. They are also into business. They also cannot provide a financing which is cheaper than their cost of funds. So ultimately, it's a demand supply thing. So if they are able to get cheaper financing from their financiers, they cannot provide to us. So I understand that SBI is trying to borrow from money from ADB and all, and Asian Development Bank, they are providing some financing to SBI at a cheaper fund, but that amount is very, very negligible. So I think unless there is a policy intervention, there is a special subsidy kind of thing which is given by the government of India, it will not be possible for any bank in India to provide a cheap financing as of now. If they are able to provide out of as a green initiative of their side, I'll be the first person to be very happy, and I will be like welcome them like anything.
Okay. No, MNRE has formed a committee actually already, and working with these three banks especially to give a concessionary financing for this, and RBI has been recommended for that. So they are working on it. Let's see, because they are also into the making the framework how to do it, and see the credit appraisal, risk management. They will go into that, and concessionary financing will be part of it. So let's see how it goes about. I think it will come into effect within 2-3 months, hopefully. So yes, they will look into your aspects as well. High rate of financing won't be able to help you. Normal financing cannot help green steel. We require
and also
something.
Apart from the financing aspects which we were mentioning earlier, the government should also be required to make the approval process very simple. Today, putting up such plant is a big task. Getting the approvals is really a big challenge. Many times, in our case also, the project was ready to supply power, but we could not supply power because the approvals were not there. So we wasted a few months in getting the approvals. Until that time, the power was getting wasted. And then it's a welcome thing that government has come out with some policies for the ALMM, which is like an approved list of module manufacturers in India, and whereby they're helping the local industry. But the challenge is the local industry is not equipped enough to provide the kind of modules which we require.
Okay.
First of all, the volume itself is very low. What we do is we are doing more of assembly. Secondly, the quality of modules which are coming out is not at par with the imported ones from countries like Vietnam and China. So in fact, we have 3 installations of solar power in India. In 2 of the solar power installations, we have full-fledged Chinese or Vietnamese made panels are there. And in one of them, we have also put some of Indian made solar panels. The generation, the difference of 10% difference is there.
Okay.
What we are able to generate from the modules which are imported is generating 10% higher power as compared to what we are doing in-house, what we have bought internally in India. So I think we have to find a middle path which should help the local industry as on the supply side. At the same time, it should also help the customers on the buy side. So then only strike a balance, and we'll be able to put up a good capacity of solar power in India and work towards basically go towards our goal of GHG emission reduction.
Okay, okay. Yeah, correct. I will also put it forward, basically. This is a very important aspect we have talked about.
Yes,
Also, in the technological front also, the most of the equipment, electric arc furnace, if you say, or the rolling mill you see, mostly the primary steel producers, they are what you call procuring it from Europe or the what you call the advanced countries. And we don't have a good equipment manufacturers also in our country, So these are aspects we need, basically investment in the R&D area. Also we need to basically put our equipment manufacturers at par at the international level. That we have our talent pool has not gone into this particular aspect, to help them out in this manufacturing.
our talent is applying to us now.
Yes. So that's the thing.
Yes, I think Chandekar sir wants to say something.
Yeah.
I have been hearing am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have been hearing your discussions and very absorbing discussion. I just have one or two questions in the sense, if I am not getting cheap finance, if I am not getting premium, if there are no enough equipment and technology suppliers, why should I go in for this?
Okay, so basically, yeah.
I think government should do some policy making, some concession for the finance, and as Mr. Anand rightly said, there has to be some intervention from the government side.
Sir, I agree with whoever has raised this question, but then somebody will have to make a beginning.
Absolutely, you have done a great thing. In fact, that is what I am saying. You are Kalyanis and Saarloha, they cannot, done a great thing. But not everybody will follow this because there are no incentives from the government. If there are no incentives,
I always feel that it is
difficult.
So we at Kalyani Group, we always had a philosophy that we should first deliver and then look out for the results. So basically, that is the philosophy of our chairman, Sri Baba Sahib Kalyani, and other senior member of the group. So basically, sir, as somebody rightly asked, why are we doing all this thing when there is no incentive? Yes, but there is no incentive today. The future is there definitely, because we can't afford to live in this world where the CO2 emission is so high. As Paul sir rightly said, he gave some example about the rising temperature north and all. Ultimately, we will live definitely, but whether our generation to come will be able to survive or not, that's the question mark. So somebody will have to make a beginning, even at a cost. It's okay, because ultimately a day will come when definitely we are going to get the incentive, we are going to get the premium, and we are going to get some kind of benefit from the government, and that's how we have made a start. That is our philosophy. I think other people should also adopt a similar philosophy and work towards it. For suggestion.
That should be considered. Even I would go one step further and say that whatever incentives government will be giving in future, it should be retrospective effect also. It should have retrospective effect also.
Yes. We are happy with the prospective also.
So that whatever these people have invested for the last so many years, it will have some benefit, but some reward.
Yes.
Actually, the carbon credit system is coming. Will be slowly coming into effect within, I think, a short frame. In a short while from now, I think it is already in the almost notification stage.
It is also in India. It is coming up now, but overseas it is already there.
It is already there. Yeah.
In fact, just to add, like this is the one part we are doing right now, but at the group level, we already have 50 megawatt of wind power, which we have been using. And we are able to get carbon credit out of that. But then, of course, the carbon credit pricing has also gone down drastically. So at some point in time, it was around $30 to $40 per certificate. Today, it is below $1. So it is not discouraging us. we are hopeful that we'll get benefit of whatever we have done so far. Oh, yes.
So maybe,
Okay.
sir, maybe last advice from all three of you to the new entrants to this in this area.
I request the senior most member the first.
Yeah, I think the new entrants in this area, they should basically at least have a what you call a timetable with them, a particular roadmap with them, and how to do it. See, it requires resources. The resources, as soon as you get the resources, you mobilize it, I think. So all companies need to have a plan with them, at least. So I think that will be, and the policies will be coming to in. See, this is a new area for our government also as well. You know, I think within the next, I think 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you will see all the things will get roll out, because presently I feel the government listens to us. You know, when the government listens to you, slowly it takes time for the government to what you call react and do the needful. I think it will be done slowly. And I think it is not a disheartening. It is not disheartening. So I think all companies should make a move in this direction. So that will be my advice to most of the companies. You know.
Anand.
Yeah, I'm requesting Chandan to speak now.
Yeah. Chandan, please.
Okay, so I think for the new entrants, I would say the first step is to identify the emission sources. And once anybody does that, the steps will follow, because once we identify where my emissions are happening, I would certainly would want to reduce it. So but because of there is so much of different standards and methodologies on how to measure the emissions, there is a little bit of chaos in the existing industry. And to it is important that you draw out a path within that chaos, identify your sources of emissions, and then I'm sure the things will follow. So anybody who is entering into this area should first start about mapping their emissions into their existing steel making plant.
So, uh, my suggestion would be that without waiting for some kind of incentives or some kind of schemes coming from the government, I think everyone should start working in this direction. So today it may not be a compulsion, but it is a long time taking process. We took almost 1.5 hours to come out with this particular thing. So it is a time taking process. So once not taken by surprise, suddenly one day if says ki the customer says ki they want green steel only. So without waiting for that day to happen, I think people to start working in this direction. And the process is, I think there are agencies which can define the process. We can tell you the process, and you can move in that direction and be ready for the D-Day.
Yeah, actually, I also, as I told earlier, as I said earlier, I think government should have have to intervene and have some finances available at a concessional rate. That is number one. Number two is there has to be some premium for the product, sir. I don't know how to introduce that premium, how to get that premium, but there has to be some premium for the product, Mr. Rajib. So I don't know whether government has some role to play in this, or what only hype and advertising would draw some premium. I don't know. That maybe Mr. Chandan is able to strategize it more carefully.
I would say the fund allocation has,
And
the fund
thirdly,
allocation.
uh, hello, am I audible? Yeah, and thirdly, importantly, I feel that government institute like NIST should have a dedicated cell for green steel making advisory. If somebody is interested in green steel making, but I don't know much. Suppose my plant, I don't know much. So what should I do? Where should I go? So I think the NIST should have some special cell to advise on technical aspects and the procedural aspects of green steel making. So I think that can help a lot of small companies, medium companies to go in this direction. I think
Right.
we have Rajiv.
We agree with you, sir.
Rajiv, are you there? No, I think
I think he's dropped out.
he has. We have lost him. Anyway, so I think this is the nutshell in what I feel, and we were expecting Mr. Kashiva, Executive Director, Director General of SAIMA to be here, and also Mr. Paramjit from Ministry of Steel. But I think both of them are stuck up in some meeting, and they could not join. But nevertheless, we had a very good discussion, Mr. Anand and Mr. Chandan, and we could get a lot of insights regarding green steel making, what are the hurdles, and where is the need, what is the need to be done, regarding finances, as you mentioned, regarding product premium and all. So there are problems, but as Mr. Rajiv said, we have to go ahead in this direction. Maybe Europe is also thinking of putting up some levies on the non-green steel products and all. So, considering all this, considering the global sentiment and the direction in which the whole world is going, we have to go in this direction. So, thanks again, all of you, including Mr. Rajiv, Paul, Mr. Chandan, and Mr. Anand. Thanks for your insights and thank you very much. I think we will
Thank you
stop.
so much, sir. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.